Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, even good evening to some of you. I know we have some folks calling in from all over the world, even some folks calling in from Europe. So pleased to have you all here today. Thank you so much for making the time to spend a little bit of our day learning about Steward Market. So, welcome, everyone. My name is Hannah Sandmeyer, and I am the founder of Steward Market. Before we get started, just one simple housekeeping item. As you have questions or comments, please add them to the chat and we'll address them at the end of the presentation. Okay, so Steward Market is the first marketplace for ethical exits. And when we say ethical exit, we do not mean perfect. What we do mean is that what we do not mean is that we're here to be the values police. We're not here to monitor ethics. An ethical exit for us is not a moral label. It is rather a better set of questions before ownership changes hands. Who owns it next? What do they protect? And what happens after close? And who needs to be in the room to set the course for that outcome? So today I'll show you why we built Steward Market, how the matching logic works, and then I'll walk through the live platform to show it to you in real time. Before we get started, though, I just wanted to level set on where we are. So these, as I mentioned, I know we have folks calling in from all over the world, and these are U.S.-based numbers, but the U.S. is not alone in the transition, the ownership transition and transfer that we're heading into in the next 10 years. This is certainly a global issue, but by 2035, an estimated 6 million small businesses in the U.S. alone are expected to change hands, representing roughly 5 trillion in enterprise value. And this is not just a transaction story, this is a community, jobs, wealth, and ownership story. And frankly, right now, the market that we have and the infrastructure that we have is not working well enough. In 2022, according to the McKinsey Institute for Economic Mobility and a report that they put out in February of this year, 92% of small business exits ended in closure. That doesn't mean that the business did not transfer, they disappeared. When that happens, employees lose jobs, communities lose services, and owners lose legacy, and local economies lose momentum. That is what we care about, and that is why we've created a new marketplace. And the fact of the matter is, every major market has infrastructure. Real estate has Zillow, jobs have LinkedIn, startup investing has Angels List. But ethical business transactions, especially for the small and lower middle market companies, we do not have a clear front door. And that is the gap Steward Market is built to address. And Steward Market is designed to be a three-sided marketplace because stewardship requires more than just a buyer and a seller. A founder may be exploring a sale, but they also may need capital, an attorney, an employee ownership advisor, a lender, or a broker who understands legacy. A buyer may be looking for a company, but they also may need acquisition capital or deal support. And partners are not peripheral. They often help shape whether a transaction is possible at all. And each seat at the table has a perspective, a point of view, a value system. Steward Market makes that visible. We do not just show what someone is looking for, we help surface why they are here and how they intend to show up. And this is the part that makes Steward Market different and what makes Steward Market powerful. Most M&A discovery is organized around industry, size, geography, and price. Those things matter, but they're not enough to answer the bigger question, which is this the right fit? On Steward Market, values, timing, needs, identity, capital interest, ownership goals, and stewardship priorities become searchable signals. They're not hidden in someone's private notes, they're visible earlier, so better conversations can also happen earlier. For instance, a B Corp seller may want to find a B Corp buyer, but they also want a partner who understands mission driven transactions. A A founder seeking patient capital, that is, may not be looking to sell control at all. They may be looking for minority capital or a long term growth partner. And a buyer raising acquisition capital may need aligned capital before they can complete a transaction. A seller who prioritizes employee well being may be interested in a partner who understands this and optimizes for that outcome. The seller would also be assured if this value is shared by the buyer and by the partner. A seller curious about employee ownership can also find an employee ownership advisor. And an employee ownership buyer can also find sellers who are already open to that pathway. A founder who wants shared lived experience or values alignment can search for buyers and partners who have chosen to make those signals visible. And a seller early in their process can seek out partners that can help them in the beginning stages of the process, from deal modeling to a founder transition coach who can help them prepare emotionally for what their lives will look like post sale. And a buyer can indicate their readiness and timeline to make sure they're lining up with providers that can assist them with their impact acquisition strategy or focus on sellers whose timeline matches theirs. And a founder seeking a long-term steward can find buyers who intend to hold indefinitely and can seek out advisors who will provide guidance on structure to protect those goals. And any seat at the table can share that they will participate in an impact exit, setting aside value from a closed transaction into our DAF, a donor advised fund. And perhaps this becomes the first through line on alignment, a commitment to paying it forward to the next generation of stewards. This is what we call values as infrastructure. The platform is not telling people what to value, it's giving them a way to name what matters, search for fit, and find the people who need to be in that room. And this matching logic works in every direction. Now, let me show you what this looks like live on the website. And as I walk through the site, please keep this frame in mind. Steward Market is designed to make better fit conversations possible earlier before the path is locked in. And the strength of Steward Market comes from really two things: diverse filters and deep expression. The filters make values, needs, timing, and pathways searchable, and the listings and profiles give people room to explain the meaning behind those signals, structured enough to search and human enough to trust. So let's take a look at the platform. Okay. All right. Okay, so I think you're able to see Steward Market, and this is the public front door for what we've built. We are not replacing brokers, attorneys, lenders, or people who manage the deals. We're rather just improving discovery before people are deep in the process. So Steward Market helps people find the right buyers, sellers, and capital providers and advisors based on more than just the industry, size, geography, or price. And better discovery creates better first conversations. And we've received some pretty interesting early endorsements reinforcing that idea. We've received endorsements from the Purpose Pledge. The Purpose Pledge is a new certification principally for CPG companies or companies that have complex global supply chains. We've also received an endorsement from John Abrams, who is the author of From Founder to Future. And John at one time ran a company called South Mountain Company that converted to a cooperative that at one time was the highest scoring B Corp on the planet. And we also received a very important endorsement from 40 Million Owners, which is an ESOP-owned advisory firm. Now, let me show you how signals show up on the platform. So the first thing we see here, and that we'll see throughout the platform, are this idea of badge taxonomy and values enabled search. So what we see here are four core badges: stewardship pathways, values and commitments, ownership identity, and certifications and standards. These are consistent across the platform. Every single member of Steward Market can display what they value and what they're looking for through these badges. And of course, we also have the badge associated with the impact exit. So you'll see those throughout the platform. And this is where that the values become infrastructure. These tags are not just decorations, they are search architecture. They help people find each other by values, timing, needs, ownership pathways, certifications, and commitments. Values, and what we really believe at Steward Market is values only really become useful when they're visible. So let's take a look at that, how that shows up on seller listings. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is that I can search by the typical financial and quantifiable information that I would expect on any other marketplace. But I can also search by much, much more. I can search by things like core business values, certifications and standards, stewardship objectives, or what we mean by stewardship objective is what the seller is most interested in protecting through a transaction. We can also look at capital needs, ownership pathways, timing, and of course, the impact exit. And this is what makes Steward Market different and how it can deliver different outcomes for founders, buyers, partners, employees, and communities. As a buyer or partner, I would use these filters to find unique matches beyond EBITDA and revenue. And I wanted to point out as well that Steward Market is not just for companies that are looking to sell. Steward Market can also be used for companies who are looking to raise patient impact capital. So let's take a look at a listing that is prioritizing mission continuity. Let's take a look at this listing. This is a mission-driven B Corp certified production house specializing in high-impact visual storytelling and cinematic brand content for a global audience. You'll notice a few things right away on this card. They are opted into the impact exit, so you see that badge there. You can also see their stewardship pathways or the pathways that they're open or most interested in for their exit strategy. You can also see their values and commitments, and you can also see that they are certified B Corp corporation and a 1% for the planet member. And as far as their transaction readiness or timing, they are early or exploring options. Let's take a deeper dive. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see this more. So the first thing you'll notice is that seller listings are masked. So they are not any kind of proprietary information or business name is hidden on purpose. And the masking really matters because founders should be able to explore without overexposing themselves before there's real mutual interest. So the first thing you see there is that headline, then you see a brief description of that company, but again, no identifiable information is visible. As a paid user, you can save this listing, favorite this listing. You can message the seller as well. And that is the only functionality that we are making available through Steward Market. We are not a broker. We don't handle transactions. We're not getting involved and helping that transaction move through. We're just enabling consent-based communication. And that's what you're able to do as a paid subscriber on the marketplace. As I scroll down, you can also see more description on their stewardship path, their full business values, and any certifications that they have. You can read more about their business fundamentals. So these are things that you would also see on other M&A marketplaces, the quantifiable information about their business. But beyond that, you can learn a lot more. So again, those qualifying details of the business that really make this business unique and describes more of who they are and what they're looking for. You can also read more about what they seek in a steward and their non-negotiables when they're choosing or selecting a buyer. So this is not a normal business listing. Of course, yes, you can see the business fundamentals and the financials because they absolutely matter. But you can also see culture, purpose, values, and the desired stewardship path and those non-negotiables. So this is what we think better discovery tools look like, not less rigorous, but more complete, where the seller can share and ask the question of not just who will pay for their business, but who can grow this without breaking what has made it special. Now let's take a look at what it looks like for buyers on the platform. So this is our buyer directory, and this is again where you can see the standard filters, but the expansion of filters or the different options that we make visible on Steward Market is really what makes Steward Market unique and very special. So these filters also speak directly to transition fit, the intended hold period, stewardship path, capital needs, and of course the impact exit. So if we search for, let's use buyer type, and let's look at employee ownership platforms. So these are buyers that have an established employee ownership model that are looking to buy other companies to bring into that employee ownership model. So looking at this one, it's a 100% S Corp ESOP company out of New England. They are opted into an impact exit. Their stewardship pathway is an employee ownership platform as an ESOP, and their values and commitments are also visible here. They have all the capital secured. On other listings, you can see that maybe capital is not secured or they're seeking impact capital to help fund their acquisition. But in this case, that capital is secured and their stewardship priority is employee ownership. Let's take a little bit deeper dive into this one. So again, you'll see that the buyers are also masked on Steward Market. We just have a headline and a business description there. Again, we can just message this buyer as a paid user on Steward Market. We can see their stewardship path and their business values. We can also see their industries of interest. And then we get into that qualifiable information about a buyer that we'll see on Steward Market that is not visible on any other M&A platforms. So again, there are certifications if present. Not every strong buyer will have certification. That is okay on Steward Market, of course, but we can see more about their ownership philosophy, their business uniqueness, their intent, their stewardship models they support. And beyond that, of course, we can also see the quantifiable details again. So, what size of business, geography, or sector focus that they're looking to invest in addition to that hold period, which we feel is super important to make visible to potential sellers who are interested to perhaps talking to this buyer about their opportunity. So buyer profiles in Steward Market really show buyers how they but they really show sellers how buyers intend to own, not just what they want to buy. And a lot of these details, as I mentioned, are basically invisible on other platforms. We think that they should be visible and certainly visible before an LOI. Now let's look at the partner side because this is where the marketplace becomes much more than just buyer and seller matching. Okay. So again, the filters are going to be the star here. If you're following along, then you understand how important these are on Steward Market and why they make Steward Market so different and differentiated. So there's a lot of filters on Steward Market beyond those basic financial filters. And we've spent a lot of time, and we will continue to speak time as the platform grows and develops. And certainly, we're looking for your feedback on this, of course, ongoing. But one of the areas where we're really focused is we tried to be as expansive as we possibly could be on using our imagination on all the different types of advisors services that are applicable to ethical M&A. So it's much more than just your broker, advisor, financial partner, or lawyer. You can see a lot of other different categories of different advisory. And the other thing that we really wanted to highlight and we think is important is when these service providers typically enter the process, because we know and understand, of course, that for most sellers and for many buyers, this will be their first ownership transition. So they may not know what kind of support they need or when they need it to achieve the outcome that they care most about. So Steward Market sets out to change that. So this is part of the seller and buyer education that we think is really important as we try to democratize access to M&A and help more people use it as a force for good. So we can see that there's all different types of a description on when they enter the process in addition to the services they provide. So let's take a look at maybe an atypical one. Let's look at a partner profile that helps after the paperwork is signed. So let's look at this one. This is purpose and impact communications. So the first thing you'll notice is that partner profiles are not masked. They work at like a public profile. Their business name is visible, their logo is visible, so that anybody, even if they're not a paid subscriber on Steward Market, can learn more about these partners and the advisory or services they provide to help execute ethical M&A. So let's take a look at this one. So you have their business name, you have their business description, you also have a link to their website. So this is makes it very functional, basically as like a public ad for this business that's advertising on Steward Market. Of course, you can message this partner through the platform if you're a paid user. You can also see that they're committed to the impact exit, and what that means for partners. I'll describe this a little bit more in depth later, but just to say this quickly. So what that means is that a seller or buyer or a partner, when they opt into the impact exit, they're committed to paying it forward at transaction close. What I mean by that is they are committed to setting aside 1 to 2% of either transaction value if they're a buyer or seller, or 1 to 2% of their fees that they collect as a service provider at a transaction close that they participate on Steward Market into our DAF. So that's what you're seeing there, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later. But that's what that means, just at a high level. So we can also see the stewardship pathways that this partner supports, their business values, and their ownership identity. We can see the deal sizes that they support, their stewardship objectives, what they're trying to do, how they're trying to help, the stewardship models that they actively support. So you can see that they do also support employee ownership transactions. They're an in-depth description on their role. So again, this gets back to the concept of helping people understand the different services that are available to them and how they can partner with these different advisors and service providers on Steward Market. So their role is very well explained there. Again, when they enter the process, the outcomes that they optimize for. So this is really about values and then the outcomes that this partner is optimized for, or what they care most about, or what they'll try to help protect in a transaction. And of course, their intent as stewards. So this is where Steward Market becomes much more than buyer and seller matching. Partners are not an afterthought. Brokers, attorneys, lenders, employee ownership advisors, transition consultants, communication advisors, and capital providers can all be part of the transition architecture. And for brokers, Steward Market is not a replacement for their advisory process. It is just rather an additional discovery layer for both the sellers that they represent, the buyers that they might represent, and also for their services as well, to folks who might be looking for their services. So partners are often the difference between good intention and a workable transition, and we want to make them as visible as possible on Steward Market. Okay, so far we've looked at the public side of the marketplace. I want to show you what it looks like from the user side as well. So we have this backend dashboard where users can manage their listings, buyer profiles, partner profiles. They can see their unread messages, any saved items. So if you're favorited a listing or a profile, you can see that. And you can also manage your team members from one central dashboard. So a person or a firm may be managing a seller listing, a buyer profile, and a partner profile, or all of the above on Steward Market. In fact, our parent company, Up and Over Advisors, uses Steward Market in all three ways. So we have a partner profile advertising our deal origination services. We have buyer profiles that we set up and manage on behalf of our clients, where we can field inquiries on behalf of our clients that come through Steward Market. And we also have a seller listing because we're raising patient impact capital to scale our family of businesses. So we actually use Steward Market in all three ways. And we envision the brokers will use Steward Market in a similar way. A brokerage may represent sellers, buyers, or both, and they can have multiple agents managing different client relationships. All of that is possible in Steward Market. Okay, so I'll transition back to the slides, but I wanted to show you, hopefully this is a good, at least a primer of the live version of our values as infrastructure, where sellers can signal what they care most about, where buyers can show up and show how they intend to own, and partners can become more discoverable, where their expertise matters. And the platform creates these conditions for better first fit conversations before that path is locked in. Now I'll quickly recap the workflow and close with impact exit and pricing on Steward Market before we get into questions. Okay. All right. Hope you're able to see my slide deck there once more. Okay. So how does it work? So what you just saw was follows a simple flow. First, users signal. So sellers share fundamentals, values, and priorities. Buyers do the same. And then the platform surfaces fit through filters and badges. The filters and badges are really the star of Steward Market. You get everything that you would get on any other M&A marketplace, but you get much, much more. And then conversations begin through mutual interest. So conversations begin only when interest is mutual. There's no cold outreach and no mass pitching. The way that the messaging works on Steward Market is very similar to what you see on LinkedIn or something similar like that, where you can reach out one time, and if your message is not returned, you can't continue to message that user. But the user that you message can open a line of communication, even share documents once your outreach has been accepted. And anybody on all sides can generate or start that conversation. So partners can reach out to sellers, sellers can reach out to partners, buyers can reach out to sellers, sellers can reach out to buyers. It's truly a three-party platform, three-party marketplace. And finally, the transaction or the transition, that work happens off platform when both sides are ready. So control stays with the people in the room. You can decide what you want to share, who you want to share it with. Sellers can describe their business, share more information, share a sim once they feel comfortable and they've consented to that interaction with that interested party. The impact exit, I talked about this a little bit, but this is really the part of Steward Market that I think is transformational or has the opportunity to be transformational in the M&A marketplace. Um, where impact exit is 1 to 2% of the transaction reinvested into what comes next. So this is really how our way of redesigning a system that has traditionally been associated, and for good reason, with extraction, extreme concentration of wealth and consolidation into a renewed one, a regenerative one. We really like to think about like what would be possible if some of the value created through these ownership transitions could recirculate back into the next generation of stewards. And that is the impact exit mechanism. It is voluntary, it is opt in, it happens at close. You're never committing any money up front, and it runs entirely through our partner, Impact Charitable. Sellers, buyers, and partners can signal willingness to contribute a small percentage of transaction value or their professional fees into the Steward Impact Fund. And the goal is stewardship beyond a single deal. And I'm happy, super pleased to share that so far in the very early life of the platform, we've seen extremely strong adoption across all seats at the table. Sellers, buyers, and partners are opting in. And if this model scales and real transaction liquidity moves through the platform, the impact exit could become a meaningful new source of philanthropic capital for mission driven founders, employee ownership transitions, and stewardship acquisitions. That is the hope, that is the dream, and I think that we can do this together. So, how does our pricing work? The pricing model is really goes back to our ethos and goes back to how we think, we and how we plan and how we are redesigning M&A as a force for good. We do not charge commissions or success fees because we simply believe that incentives matter. We are not here to force transactions. We want the platform to support discovery and not distort the transaction or incentives of who and why people might be participating. So sellers pay a low one-time listing fee that is for life. They can come on as early as they want. They can come on often as they want to. They can pause their listing. They can come back on as it makes sense for them. So sellers may participate on Steward Market early in their journey as they're raising impact capital and they're looking for different capital sources to help them support their goals of existing, not exiting. But when they are ready to exit, they can renew their listing, they can make an update to it, and now position themselves as ready for sale. Buyers participate on a subscription basis, so they're $59 a month. You can purchase a subscription on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, or annual subscription. And of course, you receive discounts on those other two levels. And then partners are really the backbone of Steward Market. They provide such tremendous service across all different types of transactions. And are also making fees from every transaction. So they are largely are subsidizing the existence of Steward Market, and they pay $250 a month on a monthly basis, or they can also subscribe on an annual basis, and they receive a small discount to do so. We believe that this model of flat fees, consistent pricing, no commissions or success fees, we believe that this keeps access to Steward Market open and the incentives a little bit clearer. So if you're a founder, don't just sell your business, find your steward. If you are a buyer, you can show founders how you intend to own. And if you're a broker, advisor, lender, attorney, or capital partner, we hope that you come to be discoverable when transition conversations are just beginning. And that is Steward Market, better outcomes by design. And with that, I will take any questions. Looks like we do have quite a bit. In Ooh, okay, it looks like you guys had there was a little bit of disruption, for some of you, but maybe not all of you. Okay, this is being recorded, so I'll make sure um, to send out this recording to anybody who maybe had a little bit of disruption. But I'll take your questions as you have them. I have a few questions here, but feel free to put any others in the chat as you have them. So the first question here, let's just a quick time check. Oh, good. We have quite a bit of time for questions or comments, so please do put them in there. The first question is around liquidity event. So have any transactions gone through the platform? So good question. Thank you for that question. We're still in the very early days of the platform and have not even been live for a month. We launched on May Day earlier this month. But I'm happy to share that, yes, there has been at least one transaction that is developing that I'm aware of from the platform. A law firm that has subscribed to Steward Market is in talks with a perpetual purpose trust firm that is looking to acquire another company. And they found this, and they're looking for legal help with that transaction. They've already sourced who they're going to purchase, but now they just need help putting that paperwork together and protecting their interests on both sides of the table. And they were able to find a law firm. They were able to find that law firm on Steward Market. Because partner profiles are public, this firm doesn't need to have or didn't have a buyer profile on their own, but they were able to use the directory and find that attorney that understood their mission-driven aspirations. So that law firm has also opted into the impact exit. So we're quite hopeful that this will be the first event to contribute to our DAF with Impact Charitable. So that's exciting, even in the first month. Next question I have is, how is this useful for brokers or M&A advisors? Does it compete with them or make their services less competitive? Great question. We do seem to get this question quite a bit. And I want to be clear that Steward Market is designed to be accretive, not competitive to anyone's existing process, whether that be brokers or advisors, investment banks. For brokers, Steward Market is simply a discovery layer. It can help expand the buyer universe or identify valued aligned capital and advisors and support founders who care about legacy, employees, culture, and what happens after close. It doesn't replace you. We simply organize visibility in a new way. And we really want brokers to participate on Steward Market for a variety of reasons. We believe that you provide very valuable services, and we intend to not only to just help you and not compete with you, nor do we ask that you change your business model or do anything different. We just want to be accretive to what you're doing. I'll also say, if you're a broker and you're currently have your sellers or buyer listings on other platforms, we do not require any exclusives on listings. So if you wanted to continue to list on, for instance, Biz by Sell, but also leverage Steward Market for your sellers for $25 one time, no commission, we think that's a great idea, just to give those sellers more options, more visibilities into different buyers and different options. Okay. And we got another question, and this one is about how international is this currently going to be, or is it currently? So, good question. Thank you for asking that, Amy. Yes. So the intention is to make Steward Market available globally. We currently are have plans and designs to make it multilingual. And also to help it adapt to different currencies across the world. If you have any other ideas on how we can make that easier or more adaptable to different needs, please let us know. But that's what we're thinking most immediately, and we can do that pretty quickly. So it just is a matter of time. We have a couple other items in our development backlog that we'll get to probably first, just to kind of shore up what we're doing already. But that is certainly something that's on the roadmap. And to that point, if you have any feedback, comments, questions, or things that you would like to see on Steward Market, whether that be new filters, new service model types. If you're a service provider and you don't find a category that exactly fits the service that you provide buyers or sellers, let us know. We want to be really flexible and accommodating for folks who are using the platform. Another question on commissions. So, why no commissions? Um, well, as I tried to share, our fee model is based really purely on the ethos of our platform. We believe that Steward Market should be different, quite different from everything else that is out there. And we do not want Steward Market to become extractive in the very market that we're trying to make less extractive. We'd rather keep the platform participation lightweight and create space to be for value to be voluntarily recirculated through the impact exit. So instead of us, the platform holder, taking a large transaction fee and putting it into our pocket, we have a concept of, frankly, enough. What is enough for us to survive, to continue to support the marketplace with a platform like Steward Market, to build, maintain, and improve the platform over time, and enough to serve this ecosystem well. And I'm confident we can do that through the fee model that we have. Um, and that doesn't require us to take a large bite out of every transaction. Amy, awesome. So your comment again, you're co-chair of B Lab UK and you're a B Corp founder in the UK. And you'd love to talk to us more about bringing this to the UK. That is amazing. Love to do that. We can definitely talk about that, but appreciate the support. Largely, I'll say, let me turn on my camera so you guys can see that I'm like here in real. They do that real quickly. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, our beachhead, I'll just say this as far as like dreams, our beachhead, of course, is to be the default home for where B Corps transact, where social enterprise transacts. I don't think that, and I'm sure this is largely your experience as well, as certainly as our experience talking with other mission driven founders. There's not a lot of places where they feel comfortable. Advertising that their businesses are for sale. They're nervous about this. This is not unlike any other seller or founder who's built something that they love. And this next step in their process or this next transition is really nerve wracking for them. We hope to be the default place where people feel that they can say what they really care about, that they're given a place to talk about their values, talk about what they want to protect, and they feel comfortable doing that. And they have a really excellent chance of also finding a partner to carry that forward. So, anything that we can do to partner more with B Corps or social enterprise, we are absolutely very keen to do. We want to make this very collaborative effort. And that doesn't mean that we just want to also service social enterprise, though. I want to be very clear about that. I think there's a lot of folks who don't consider themselves or their business as a profit for purpose enterprise, but they deeply, deeply, deeply care about what happens to their company next. And they really care about what happens to their staff and their employees, who, for a lot of founders, they become like family. So we certainly want to be open and available to them. So as I showed on one of the buyer listings, they didn't have any certifications. That's okay. That's perfectly okay. Not everyone will. But if you do have certifications, we want you to be able to talk about them and also isolate how important they are to you in the next transition. Certainly, we've seen lots of things in the news lately about Allbirds or Everlane. That's really the beachhead or the wedge in which we're entering market. We've just seen that too many times to not build something different for different outcomes. Okay, very cool. From Michael, very interesting idea. ESOPs are becoming more and more acquisitive. 100%. You might have to advertise at the conference. Yes, I was at the annual conference. Thank you, Michael, for that comment. At NCEO earlier this year, we have reached out to all the acquisitive ESOPs that are on the website, as you provided that link there. Absolutely. So yes, that is a big part of that. And I think this next question that I received as well is about the size of companies that Steward Market is built for. Is it only for small businesses? I think that your question there, Michael, is, or your comment is directly related to that. So no, it's not just for smalls. I think Steward Market is especially valuable for small and little lower middle market companies because there's so much of an infrastructure gap that Steward Market is looking to fill. But to your point, Michael, ESOP companies are not small. To be an ESOP, to be a functional ESOP, there's lots of different people who might have different opinions or they might share different numbers. But on average, from what we've heard and seen, is typically $5 million in enterprise value and up. So those are big companies, and those who are getting acquisitive are big companies. And so we're already starting to see that on platform where buyers and sellers will show up, I think, of all different sizes from all different industries. So we don't think that Steward Market is going to be about size at all. So it's not a size first platform, but really it's stewardship first. So what do you care about? What are you looking to do? What are you looking to protect? That's where Steward Market becomes valuable. If values, people, mission, ownership intent, or community impact matter to you in a transaction, Steward Market, I think, is the marketplace for you. And as I mentioned earlier, there's no exclusives. We would never ask for an exclusive on a listing agreement. So we just intend Steward Market to be accretive. Okay, Matthew. Hi, Matthew. Apologies if someone has already asked this question. Wanted to ask about the uses of the DAF, and if in particular this could go to offsetting partnership costs for joining the platform among partners who are nonprofits, not charging fees for transaction support, particularly for small firms, those led by LGBTQ or BIPOC, et cetera. Good question, Matthew. So your question is about how we plan to distribute money through the DAF. So good question. So there are principally two vehicles. The first vehicle is back to, and I'll just say really quickly because I have time to do so. We have established an impact investment committee that's made up of 4 members, one of those members being myself. We also have Stephen Green from Portland, who organized an event called Pitch Black in Portland that helps to Black and brown entrepreneurs. It's a pitch competition for them locally in Portland. He's an excellent advocate for small business, for local business, has a lot of good connections, and done a lot with civic infrastructure and connected with our local city government here in Portland. He's a great advocate. Stephen Green. Jim Black from Impact GC Law is also on that Impact Investment Committee. Also, Julie Mentor, who I believe may be on this demo today, Julie Mentor from Transform Finance. So the way that we've organized the staff and how it will fund or provide philanthropic dollars, which we hope and we intend, based on what is possible on Steward Market, if we start to see adoption across seller, buyer, and partner, all 3 sides contributing to the impact exit on a transaction could be really meaningful, generate a lot of money, even from that small 1% to 2% voluntary donation amount. It could generate hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in philanthropic capital. So we intend that our hope is that we can give grants in the neighborhood of between $50,000 and $150,000 on average. And these are pure philanthropic dollars, non-dilutive, no board seats, no equity, light reporting. We just want to give money back to community on a quarterly basis as we start generating resources through the Impact Fund. We'll give that in 2 vehicles principally, back to social enterprise who are scaling or growing. So that could fit your need there, Matthew. The other vehicle is for impact acquisition strategy. So that's why I mentioned Stephen Green, with his expertise in building Pitch Black. Because my North Star big dream would have to host across the country in multiple different jurisdictions and partnerships with local city governments. activist pitch competitions. So maybe you don't want to build anything, but you recognize there's businesses in your local community who need the founders need to exit, and you've put together an acquisition strategy to keep that business in your community, to provide continuity for that business in your community, that social impact work effectively through M&A. You can apply for a grant through the Steward Impact Fund, and we can help fund that acquisition. So super excited about that. And also for ownership transitions, if there is a business that is looking to maybe convert to an employee ownership model, maybe the employees want to buy the company from their founder, from their owner. That is another vehicle that could be funded through the impact exit. Okay, so that we are at time. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. You can reach me at Hannah at stewardmarket.com if you have any further questions or comments, or you want to contribute more to the development of how we're thinking about Steward Market. As I said, we want to be really responsive to our client base, and that's all of you. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to hear from you soon.